Interoception is the part of Qigong practice that is most important for self-awareness, emotional regulation, adaptability, empathy, resilience, and mental health. The science and practice of interoception starts with a basic understanding of Qigong as a mind-body exercise and practice. Now, Qigong is quote unquote traditional Chinese exercise. The Chinese government and their researchers are heavily promoting using the term traditional Chinese exercise to describe Qigong. They're also promoting an official version of Qigong called health Qigong, where health is capitalized, essentially treating health Qigong, again, quote unquote, as a brand or trademark. The practice of Qigong as exercise is a combination of exercise, which is posture, movement, breathing, and meditation. Now, first and foremost, Qigong is exercise. Western medicine started seriously embracing exercise in the 2000s, yet exercise per se is still not generally a standard part of medical school curriculums, but there's been some great progress. The world's largest sports medicine and exercise science organization in the world is the American College of Sports Medicine, the ACSM, which recommends exercises to physicians and clinicians. An ACSM 2010 position stand recommends prescribing Qigong as exercise for developing and maintaining cardiovascular, musculoskeletal, and neuromotor fitness. That is, exercise for metabolism and basic function. Exercise is non-pharmacological, it's low cost. Time Magazine's 2016 cover article summarized what researchers in the medical community were discovering. If exercise were a drug, it would be the most valuable pharmaceutical ever invented. Note that Qigong as exercise is no silver bullet. Self-behavior modifications required to add Qigong to your lifestyle. By doing this, you gain healthy aging, which increases your health span, which I think is more important than just prolonging how long you live. Qigong purely as physical exercise is preventative medicine and clinical therapy. It improves mental health, cognitive function, immune function, which equate with increased resilience. And the science of health makes it very clear that Qigong is a practice of health. So Qigong as exercise alone has all these benefits, but Qigong also includes specific breathing. Reducing stress through the breath is a major health benefit. Qigong breathing is diaphragmatic. The belly expands and diaphragm contracts on inhale to let air into the lungs. Qigong breathing is deep breathing. This doesn't mean taking in as much air as possible. It means breathing with the diaphragm. Qigong breathing emphasizes breathing through the nose and not the mouth. This increases nitric oxide concentrations. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator, which, among other things, helps cardiovascular function. And it's also antiviral and antibacterial. So Qigong is exercise and breathing, but it also includes meditation. The foundation of Qigong meditation is mindfulness. Mindfulness changes how exercise, and life for that matter, are experienced. A mindfulness focus in Qigong begins with present moment awareness. Awareness is necessary and fundamental for gaining interoceptive skills of self-regulation, emotional regulation, adaptability, and behavior modification. Now, mindfulness and breathing have some common features. Both affect the autonomic nervous system by lowering stress and moving the autonomic nervous system to parasympathetic mode, the rest and digest, versus the sympathetic fight or flight mode. This calms the mind, generates a state of mental and physical relaxation, and brings additional oxygenation to the body. It's been known since the 1970s that the relaxation response and mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, reduce stress. Dr. Herbert Benson at Harvard Medical School introduced the relaxation response to medicine, and it includes a mental focus, passive, non-striving attitude towards thoughts and distractions, requires quiet environment, an object to dwell on, and being comfortable. John Kabat-Zinn brought mindfulness to medicine and clinical therapy through MBSR. Neither the relaxation response or mindfulness MBSR have a recommended or particular breathing pattern, and they aren't combined with exercise. Qigong, on the other hand, as mindful movement, does combine mindfulness, breathing, and the relaxation response with exercise. Qigong was introduced to the research world as a new category of exercise in 2009 in the paper Meditative Movement as a category of exercise, which is defined by mind focus of attention and awareness, some form of body movement, focus on breathing, possibly a particular pattern, and attaining a deeply relaxed state. Dr. Anthony Griffin, in his book Mindful Exercise, explains that slow, relaxed movements with abdominal breathing maximize blood oxygen saturation and diffusion to every cell in the body. He coined the term meta-aerobics. Mindful exercise is above aerobics because it's an enhanced way to use oxygen in the body. In 2025, Harvard Health Publishing released the article, How to Reduce Stress and Anxiety Through Movement and Mindfulness, which includes information about the benefits of mindful movements in Qigong. So Qigong is a mind-body exercise that combines movement, breathing, and mindfulness to increase the health benefits of breathing or mindfulness alone. But there's more to describing Qigong meditation than just the combination of movement, breathing, and mindfulness. Relaxation and mindfulness are necessary, but not sufficient to characterize meditation in Qigong. As a mind-body practice, Qigong and Qigong meditation start with mindfulness and a focus on non-judgmental awareness of the present moment. But the majority of the benefits of the meditative aspects of Qigong is described by and achieved through interoception, which refers to the processing of and acting on internal body stimuli. Interoception is an underlying mechanism of mind, body, and mindfulness-based practices and the neural processing of emotions and sense of self. The embodied self is more fully realized through awareness of ongoing interoceptive processing. Two senses emerge from this developing awareness. One is presence, the connection to the present moment. The other is agency, the ability to adapt and change. These senses are fundamental in determining a person's sense of well-being. Interoception is a key process combining bodily regulation, emotional experience, and psychological well-being. Now, interoception is not a new idea. The James Lange theory of emotion in the 1880s said emotions are based on body feelings and environmental stimuli. Emotions or feelings result from subjective or conscious experience of physiological changes. For example, movement of the body, as in Qigong practice, causes shifts in balance and body rotation, which trigger feelings through the perceptions. Exteroception, which is the perception of stimuli from outside the body, proprioception, your position in space, and interoception. Interoception is neural processing of sensory input signals from inside the body. Afferent to the brain, neural signals represent the physiological condition of the body. Walter Cannon called this unconscious body function homeostasis in 1926. Interoception was originally defined narrowly as the subconscious homeostatic autonomic nervous system processing of bodily activity. But interoception is an evolving subfield of neuroscience such that interoception's definition started with homeostasis, but now encompasses our sense of self and body activity, such as breathing, heartbeat, and what's going on in the gut. In other words, interoception is the mechanism of self-sensing. Interoception research has really taken off in the last 2 years, 20 years, and especially in the last 3. The first international conference on interoception was in 2016 and is summarized in the paper Interoception and Mental Health, a Roadmap. Research shows that interoception is the underlying neurological mechanism of mind, body, and mindfulness-based practices and neural processing of emotions. The mental processes of contemplative practices depend on simultaneous mental and physiological processing. Interoception senses, interprets, and integrates conscious and unconscious signals from within the body and brings them into explicit subjective awareness. Now, interoceptive awareness is a psychophysiological regulatory process where focused attention on physiological and mental processing improves stress coping, emotional regulation, self-awareness and self-regulation, physiological and mental health, cognitive function and consciousness, decision-making, acceptance of uncertainty as a fact of life, and adaptation across one's lifespan. This is a definition of resiliency, adapting to ongoing changes and stresses of daily living. So who figured all this out? Well, Dr. Bud Craig was a functional neuroanatomist. Over more than 20 years of research, he figured out anatomically the neural basis of interoception and mind-body exercise. His most well-known book is How Do You Feel? An interoceptive moment with your neurobiological self. And he published papers like How Do You Feel? Interoception, the sense of the physiological condition of the body. He discovered that the insula, a region of the cerebral cortex, contains an interoceptive map or model of the homeostatic, physiological, and autonomic condition of the body and brain required for efficient biochemical use of energy. But the insula is also involved in the representation and processing of feelings, self-awareness, sense of others, time, consciousness, and emotional awareness. So the model includes the sum of sensory input and experience to date in the life of the organism. It then compares this model to moment perception to define and figure out really a course of action. Research has found that the insula obtains a large part of its information from the vagus nerve, which is the main neural pathway conveying bioelectrical and biochemical information to and from the brain, and it's a key component of the parasympathetic nervous system. Approximately 80% of its fibers are sensory or afferent, carrying signals to the brain from the body's organs, and the other approximately 20% of the fibers are sending motor or efferent signals from the brain to the organs. Qigong practice modulates the nervous system through the vagus nerve. And that's why it has an effect on so many different organs and bodily systems. But emotions have a large impact upon the state of the nervous system. Emotion is an inference about changes in the body. Interoception is the sense of the physiological condition of the body, which includes autonomic nervous system input from the entire body, but also mental and emotional processing in the brain. The brain infers causes of interoceptive signals using its models to minimize prediction error and maintain allostatic balance. Physiological change is primary. Emotion is experienced when the brain reacts to information received via the ANS. This is body awareness. Now, Western medicine has inconsistently recognized the value of body awareness, and it's often been considered maladaptive instead of adaptive. Many clinicians consider enhanced body awareness or focusing attention on body symptoms exacerbate conditions such as obsessions, leading to things like mental issues like anxiety and depression. Experiencing normal body sensations as intense, where the sensations are merely being amplified, is less accurate and it's maladaptive. This is especially true of people with anxiety or trauma history. Physical sensations are a source of anxiety for these people. People misinterpret their sensations, which increases their anxiety. Now, interoceptive dysfunction or dysregulation and lower interoceptive accuracy are emerging as important biomarkers for compromised physical and mental health. They're a common characteristic of many major diseases and are often associated with neurological, psychiatric, and behavioral disorders. They've also been associated with increased stress and inflammation, which can ultimately lead to conditions like hypochondria and somatic symptoms such as pain or gastrointestinal problems. Difficulty with interoceptive awareness, that is, not having an accurate sense of physical body sensations or body awareness, is the source of interoceptive dysfunction and lower interoceptive accuracy. However, more recent research on interoception has demonstrated the profound benefits of developing body awareness, which addresses issues caused by faulty interoceptive awareness. We live in a modern society that relentlessly takes us out of our physical bodies, endless device use, sedentary lifestyle, substance abuse, etc. Body awareness with a focus on mindfulness, non-judgmental acceptance, and self-grounding and experiencing physical sensations and emotional feelings in the present moment is adaptive. An interoceptive practice like Qigong helps develop an inside body sense for healthy aging, survival, and happiness. So, how can we measure interoception? Well, the NCCIH has funded interoception research, including development of Maya in 2012, the multidimensional assessment of interoceptive awareness. Maya is a subjective self-report measure of interoceptive body awareness. The Maya questionnaire gives a way to evaluate and inform the practice of interoception. So, how would you put interoception into practice with Maya? Well, Maya contains a number of categories and questions. One category is noticing. Do you notice changes in breathing when it slows down or speeds up? How healthy and strong is your body? And of course, my favorite, how is it possible that your body is still working or operating? Another category is not distracting. How do you deal with physical tension or discomfort? For example, what's your gut telling you? Then there's not worrying. How do you feel about your body, what it looks like, what it feels like? Attention regulation. Can you maintain awareness of body sensations regardless of the situation? Can you refocus attention from thinking to sensing the body? Feelings of hunger, thirst, pain, or emotional regulation? Do you notice body changes during anger or when feeling happy or painful or joyful? Um, or feeling butterflies in your stomach when you're nervous, or feeling warm hearted when you connect with someone. These cues and physical sensations help provide information about the emotion that we are feeling to help us manage what we are feeling. And self regulation, do you use the breath to reduce tension? If absorbed in thoughts, can you calm your mind by focusing on breathing? Now, AI is finding its way into so many research areas these days. It's interesting that interoception is no exception, and it's taking on a major new role in the development of AI agents. One proposed interoception research framework for AI agents turns internal state regulation into computational architectures or models or frameworks for adaptive autonomy based on three interoception functional principles of homeostasis, which is internal viability regulation, allostasis, adaptability to a constant external environment of change, or enactive, which is active data generation through interaction. The idea is that interoception will supply artificial agents with self regulation, including improved decision making, uncertainty handling, and context sensitive or adaptive behavior in dynamic changing environments. Note that people could be substituted here for agents. So, interoception is a fundamental component of whole person health. Whole person health broadens the concept of healthcare and expands the definition of integrative health beyond diagnosing and treating pathologies to include illness prevention and clinically measure physical and emotional well-being and resilience at all stages of life. A traditional Chinese medical term or complementary and alternative medicine or health synonym for whole person health would be holistic medicine. Qigong addresses many of the shortcomings of the standard Western biomedical model of healthcare that have been identified by the U.S. Veterans Health Administration and National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health's Whole Person Health initiatives. Interoception is a regulatory system, predictive mechanism, and therapeutic target where prevention and wellness are the primary aspects of care that prioritize biopsychosocial whole person health instead of focusing on studying and treating symptoms, organs, and diseases via individual medical specialties. Now, to conclude, in 2020, Harvard Medical School published a research paper titled Qigong Mind Body Exercise as a Biopsychosocial Therapy for Persistent Post Surgical Pain in Breast Cancer. This research on Qigong included patient evaluation of interoception using Maya and found a broad range of psychosocial and physical benefits. This milestone research defines Qigong as mind-body exercise and biopsychosocial therapy because Qigong is multi-component. It combines exercise, breathing, and meditation, and it is an interoceptive awareness practice and therapy.